Hey, what's up? We're the Frights, and we're hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
Wow, sexy guy.
Nailed that.
Third album just dropped. You guys went back to Zac this time around. He didn't drill you guys enough on that last record. No. So what was the decision for coming back with Zac from FIDLAR?
We just didn't learn our lesson, and we're gluttons for punishment. We like working with him, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
You guys are.
We really do. We really do.
That's a good statement. That's great. No, he's really helpful. He helped a lot more in this record, actually. Doesn't sound like it as much, a lot of people think, because there's not as much production on it. But he helped a lot with the writing process with me the months before. So it was a lot of things that we got him for a very good homie price, with a lot of things that we should have paid him a lot more money to do. So he's a great guy.
Right. Now, since he kind of stepped in and helped you with the writing this time around, this record is the most vulnerable I've heard from you. So what was that like going in to write this record with someone else?
For Zac, it's a little easier than just being anybody else. It would be embarrassing. I mean, it still was embarrassing at times because Zac also makes fun of me to no end. He doesn't give a shit. He will make fun of me about every single song I write. But it was cool. As a joke, we make fun of each other a lot. But when we got together in a cabin, we just were like in a cabin for 5 days straight in Idlewild. And there's no one around to laugh at your jokes. So when we're just sitting together, it's like, okay, let's get serious and talk about it, because it is a little more vulnerable and a little more serious, and it's a little less classic Frightsy, where it's like a lot of jokes. A lot of it's kind of serious. Right. So it was cool. He handled it well, and I would not have been able to really do that with a lot of people, I don't think, because it's a little awkward. But he's great. He did really well with that. He's a good guy.
For the rest of you guys, as this record kind of got more honest, more personal, what was it like for you guys when you guys were recording your sections for the album?
I felt like it was excellent for us. We just got to act as a band. We kept it pretty raw. We just kind of got in a room and rehearsed it organically. And once we got into the recording studio, we really just kind of got to stretch out and do what we have kind of been doing for the months prior. Just getting ready for the record. Right. So,
as Mikey kind of mentioned, it had less production this time around. Was it because of the type of record you guys were writing, or it was just, again, you guys wanted to try something different?
I think you feel out what works best for the songs, and that's such like a bland answer, but it's kind of true, because when Mikey's writing like this stuff that's more like lyrically dense this time around, you want to have you don't really want to necessarily distract from it, and when we do get to cut loose as a band, which we have done on this record a lot more than I've thought, we're ready for it, and we all. We're all pretty good at saying yeah, let's just try this, which Zac is also really good at. He's got some crazy ideas, and we just try to see what works. And I was surprised that so much of it survived from our pre-production that it did. But no, yeah, when we did our parts, we were just super open to everyone giving suggestions and stuff. I think it really helped us out. Right.
We were also on a time limit too. Yeah. We on the last record, we kind of had as much time as we want, because it didn't really cost much money at all. It was just in Zac's home studio that we recorded "You Wouldn't Hate This" in. For this one, we had.
But you guys, that was the last recording in that studio, right?
It was. Yeah. Yes, we killed it. We ruined it. It's dead now. The studio's gone. For this one, we had 14 days, and we paid for it in advance, and it was cool, that's what we got. But the 14th day, no matter where we were, it was well, that's it. And it kind of felt good. It felt a little freeing, being able to be okay, no more messing with this song. This is where it is. Listen to it. And it actually felt really good, as opposed to just gnawing at a song for days, right. So it was good.
Now, I was actually looking at the comments on your Facebook. There was one that stuck out to me. and it was whoa, way different as far as the record. So that was I guess I wasn't searching enough. But when you guys are working on new records, obviously each record has been different. Is that a mindset that you guys go into the studio thinking we're gonna make it different from the previous, we're going to try something different this time?
I feel like it is and it isn't. Yeah, it can appear that way because, if you compare our last album and this one just side by side, it sounds like two totally different things. Right. And I see how our fans would see that as being oh, they've changed, they wanted to change their sound or whatever it is. But in reality, 2 years have passed and we've changed as people and we listen to different music, and it feels like a very natural change for me. And it didn't really feel like a choice of like, oh, you know all that surf rock shit we used to do? Let's not do that anymore. Let's piss everyone off. Like, it's not that at all. And
this record's way more raw in the sense that like it's literally like us set up in a room playing. Like there's not really much production to it, as contrary to maybe popular belief right now that it would be that we've invested all this time. And
I feel like it's difficult. It's more difficult to be raw.
yeah, I mean that's one thing I'm proud of this record for, is that it's just, I mean, a lot of what you're hearing is just all of us in a room together playing, you know, just this is how we sound. This is how we sound live when you come to see the show. So I feel like that'll reflect.
So being that like the recording was kind of like a live session, you know, how did you guys feel you challenged yourselves like recording your instrumentation?
I mean, part of it was like I was talking about earlier, how like, you know, we wanted to, I mean, everyone has like ideas on like what should be like here and what versus like, you know, here or whatever. But I mean, I guess one of the, I don't know, challenges is like kind of a weird thing, because I look back on it, I think like, you know, I mean, I probably like, you know, argued about a certain part or whatever, but for me, it was pretty seamless. I mean, honestly, I guess it was like, you know, more of the, kind of like taking like what Mikey and Zac did and with songwriting, and then what we all did with pre-production for us, and then like seeing that actually come to fruition, being like, okay, shit, like this does not work. Let's like tackle this. I mean, but yeah, for the most part, like a lot of it, like for me personally, a lot of it is like simplifying stuff, like in the studio versus live, which is like, you know, something that a lot of people have to deal with. But it's also just like, okay, you know, what do you want? What do you want this? How do you want this to complement what everyone else is doing? It's a super team effort for all of us. I think like that's always the biggest challenge. But I mean, I really like when that works out.
Right, but did you guys think about like, okay, I want to try something new as far as like the guitars, for example, or the drums? Like,
I think we were all pushing. Everybody was kind of pushing themselves. I mean, and that wasn't maybe like a conscious thing that we did. Like we were like, hey, you need to push it farther, like this or that. I mean, we were in a room as a band, you know, in a small room for a month straight, maybe even longer, 2 months straight, like just doing it like back to the basics kind of thing. And I think that stuff just kind of comes naturally for us. I mean, we were all kind of pushing, reaching, and just trying to, I think, take these songs, what Mikey had, and
just trying to service the songs the best that the band could without
not worry about confining ourselves to anything, you know, trying to kind of try anything, you know, so.
You gotta check your ego at the door a lot of times, where it's like, you know, maybe the thing that you thought would sound good. I mean, I've had to do this a lot, where you thought you really wanted to play it and it sounded good because you were doing something cool. Right. That doesn't mean it fits what Mikey's writing, you know, and you have to like check that.
Even for me personally, like I had, I think, 4 sets of demos for every song, and there was the first one I did, and I was like, oh, cool, I got a song. Then there was the one I did with Zac acoustically. Then there was another one I did, I was like, no, how's this sound? And then there's a full band demos we did. Wow. And then by the actual album's recorded, that would have been the 5th time recording these songs. So things had changed even for me, where it was like, oh, that's not cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's not what it doesn't service the album or the song as well as it should. And literally everything we did, I think, in the short amount of time we had in the studio was all about what works for the song, as opposed to like, is this going to sound super cool? It's just about what flows with the song.
That's why Zac is like that's also like why we love working with Zac, is like he can see the forest for the trees, and like he knows like, okay, like this is going to turn out great. Like he's got a really good ear for that kind of stuff, like where the song, he doesn't make every song the same in his mind. He thinks like, what's like the pulse of this shit, and like what like how to push us to get to that. He doesn't do it for us, but he makes us like realize, you know, like his like what he thinks it could be, and usually he's right. Honestly.
Now, Mikey, with the songwriting, how did you feel like your songwriting evolved on this 3rd record?
That's the one thing that I probably did try to make a conscious effort at, as far as how I wrote songs before. For You Wouldn't Hate This, for example, we took a lot of songs that had been songs already for a couple of years, and songs that I just wrote out really fast and made up words on the spot type of thing. And that's how we've been a band for 4 years out of 6. And this last year and a half to almost 2 years now that I was writing these songs, I made it a point to write only on acoustic guitar, because I found when I was playing electric guitar, I was like worried about, could kids mosh to this? And that's like, I mean, they'll mosh to we have reggae shit and they mosh to reggae songs. I don't need to like worry about that anymore. So I made it a point to sit down with acoustic guitar, and I think that really helped me actually find the song, as opposed to like a vibe. And what I used to look for was like, yeah, mosh, cool. And now I found songs, and so that was a big change for me. And besides that, I mean, just starting to really, I never thought about lyrics as much as I do now. And I really sat down and I was like, what do you want to talk about for this song? And instead of, when I was in high school, I was a huge fan of Modest Mouse, and I loved the conscious like stream of that Isaac Brock uses. So I would do that a lot in the early Frights, and now I'm like, that doesn't make, what the fuck are you saying? You're saying like nothing. I don't know if I can curse in this. I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know what the fuck I was saying. And so this time I really.
He worries after like the 5th curse word.
Yeah, I know. Well, I dropped an F-bomb there. I was saying shit before, so. That's a whole. So yeah. For this, I really sat down and I was like, what am I trying to get across here? And I think I finally, this is the most comfortable by far I felt lyrically of anything I've ever done. So I'm happy about it.
I'm glad you kind of touched on Modest Mouse, because when you first started working with Zac on the last record, that's kind of the idea of, you told him that you wanted to work on a record similar to that. So, do you feel like it's also maturity that you don't want to go that route and you want to do something different the way that you guys are doing today?
Yeah, when I told Zac that, it was I really wanted a record like Good News for People Who Love Bad News, and not even like I wanted that, but he had brought up, he was like, you like Modest Mouse? I was like, fuck yeah, I love Modest Mouse. One of my favorite bands of all time. And he was like, what about Good News People Love Bad News? I was like, yes, best record ever. Cool, let's make a record like that. And of course it was nothing like it at all. It was just in my mind, I was 19, I was like, that would be awesome. Yeah. That was the mentality. So now, I guess you could, I guess it's a maturity thing of being like, I don't want to sound like anybody. Of course we sound like other bands that we love because it's something we've always been obsessed with, just listening to music. But I think it was at this point we didn't go in and be like, who do you want to sound like? That wasn't topic of conversation. It was like, what direction do you want to go, more than anything. So I think that was, I don't know if I matured necessarily in that level, but it was something there. Yeah, there was definitely a change there for sure.
Do you feel like that statement, like what direction do you want to go, was more of a reality check for you guys? Like, all right, where are we at today? What are we going to do?
Man, I think that's just a song-to-song thing, too. It's just like, I don't know if it was a conscious thing. I think it was just like, I think where we've been at, playing pretty nonstop for 2 years on the road and getting tight as a band, I feel like it just kind of like everybody kind of wanted to, I don't know if it's maturity. I don't know if it's, I think it's just evolving as a band, just wanting to be better. I think we're always going to strive to be better, whether that's better lyrically or guitar, bass, drums. I think that's always going to be the case. So
seriously, all felt super. The only song that I will say that when I wrote it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be great, was Whatever. As soon as I wrote Whatever, I was like, dude, I just wrote our next big song, guys. This is it. I know this is going to work. This is going to be a good one. And then every other song besides that, I was like, I have no fucking clue if these are going to be good or not. But Whatever, I was like, dude, yeah, it's fucking... Kids are gonna love
my
this.
least favorite song is Whatever, and I think
I was gonna say the same thing. I always skip that song when I listen to it.
I fucking hate that song.
So I like that, you mentioned earlier, like reggae songs, for example. I'm not kidding. I like how you mentioned reggae songs, for example. And, listening to the record, you kind of, sonically, it takes you to different genres in a way. And I like how you guys did that. And I like how towards the end, the second to last song was very guitar driven, which I really loved. And then the last song was just you and your vocals. And it was just like, you're listening to it and I feel the pain and I feel all that. So, how challenging was it recording something like that sonically is very different throughout the whole record?
We were lucky in having 14 straight days in the studio that we could do a song a day. So the day we'd get in and we're like, what song do we want to do today? We pick a song, and then that whole day we're just in that world. So it really wasn't like that difficult at all, honestly, because we just hyper focus on the sound of this one song, and that'd be the only focus for that whole day. And then the next day it's as if clean slate, start all over again. Which it is kind of mixtapey, this record. Like it's just like a bunch of different. Just goes in a lot of different
testing the waters. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's whatever,
we're really fortunate. Like we really, we're not really like afraid to, sound. We're not trying to like, we don't line up all the songs and we're like, okay, these all have to have like the same amount of sheen to them or some shit like that. Like, we're very fortunate. Like we feel like we can do whatever we want with a song and just like fuck it, like we can just like sound like this. Like the reggae-ish song that we have on the record, like my friend's like, dude, that's just like an emo song with upstrokes. That's not a reggae song. And other people are like, it's a reggae song. And like, you know, and like, it's just, I'm like, it's just the song.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we're really, really, really lucky that we've gotten to do that. We're like, you know, we don't have to, like, answer to anyone except what we think sounds good. And we have like a bunch of wide interests. Like we all come from different musical backgrounds and stuff. So it's whatever, as long as like the four of us and like Zach and people in the studio like what we're hearing, that's good enough for us. Right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it just it always sounds like the Frights, and I don't think we like worry about that. Like, you know, no matter what Mikey's singing, whatever guitar, keyboard, whatever, you know, it's just gonna sound like the Frights, and we're not afraid, I don't think, to confine ourselves within some format, you know, like it's gonna be the Frights no matter what, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Right. So
now, Hypochondriac is out now. It's the first record on Epitaph. It's your first time with Epitaph. This was a recent signing as of February of this year. So how did that signing kind of happen for you guys, and what was it about Epitaph that you guys wanted to jump in?
I mean, they have been like so supportive of us from day one. Like even before like we actually started, like it became a reality. You know, like we're gonna be with this label or whatever. Like Brett and Matt and like and Chris and our guy like who like, you know, found us. Like they were not only like really, really just open to whatever we wanted to do, like at that time, where they're open to, you know, go with us and grow with us in the future. And they've just been like so great. We've gotten to work with so many great people already. The record has only been out for a couple weeks, but even before that, you know, everyone from like the people who do like photos and people who they get for crew on the music videos, everyone's been like with us and, you know, making sure we get to realize whatever we want to do. Like they're not imposing anything on us, which is amazing. Like we're really fortunate.
Something we should mention, I wrote this record long before signing to Epitaph. So do not blame Epitaph for this shitty record. It is 100% our fault. Yeah,
I mean, whatever's the only shitty song in there.
Yeah. Dude.
That's not how it usually works. Like I know a 15-year-old kid will be in his room and be like, they sold out, they signed to Epitaph, they want to sound like this now. It's like, no, like Epitaph actually had nothing to do with this. They had no influence whatsoever. Right.
We didn't even literally sign to Epitaph until halfway through the session, so like it was gonna sound like this whether they liked it or not. Yeah.
Everyone at Epitaph and Anti, their sister label, is like so. I mean, they really like this. This sounds bad, but you know, like they don't care. They believe in us, and they're like just gonna say, they're not gonna say, you know, this should be more of a radio thing. They're just gonna because they trust us. They trust the people we work with, and they're gonna, like they're a label. You know, they're not trying to impose shit. You know, yeah, and they've just been great.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. Great job on the record, except for whatever. Thanks for watching here on Front Row Live, guys. I'm hanging out with the Frights, and be sure to pick up the new record. It's out now. It's called
Hypochondriac.
There we go. Thanks for watching here on Front Row Live.